بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء المرسلين وبعد. Throughout the Quran and the Hadith, you will find different descriptions for the heart. Allah will describe in the Quran the heart as ثُمَّ قَسَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ. Then your hearts have become hard. In the Hadith, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam seeks protection from a heart that is jafiyan, a heart that is dry, a heart that is hard, a heart that cannot feel. This is a quality that we often forget, that depending on how we go by our day, the amount of good that we do, the more illuminated our heart gets, and the more wrong that we do, the harder our heart gets. And in one hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says that a person will commit wrong, and then a black spot will be written on his heart. And then he'll do it again, and then there'll be another mark, and then he'll be doing it again, and then there's another mark. Eventually, the person won't even recognize their heart anymore. I remember the other day I was sitting with a colleague of mine, and we were eating this type of pasta. And if anybody's eaten pasta before, you know how it is. It's very messy. Everything flies everywhere. So he was eating, and we're both wearing white jubbas. And I was saying to him, I'm like, listen, you got to be a little bit careful with this. And he's like, no, it's fine. Like I'm eating pasta isn't rocket science. So he's busy eating pasta, and then like the first bite, a few drops fall over his clothes. And I'm like, I told you. And he's like, listen, it's not a big issue. Don't worry about it. Then he starts eating. In the third or fourth bite, it starts even getting in more and more. By the time we were done, you would think he was painting. There were so many marks all over everything. His whole jubba became like a canvas. And right away, I just thought about that hadith where, you take one bite, it leaves a mark. You're like, okay, it's tolerable. It's nothing too serious. The second one, a third one. By the time you're done with the meal, you can't even recognize your clothes anymore. Very similar, sometimes you would go and you want to fix up your car a little bit, right? And you have clean clothes, and you're like, it's fine. And I just want to see this thing, I want to see that thing. And as you're tinkering with your car, by the time you're done fixing that thing up, this happened to me actually a few days ago. As I'm tinkering with my car, I come back, I don't realize there's so much dust on the car. I come inside and my family is telling me like, did you go to the mechanic? And I can't even realize until I look and I realize there's all of this dust on me. Because when you're in the thick of it, you don't realize what's happening, but the accumulative effect is apparent on other people. Same thing, like we're going through YouTube, for instance, and I'm just watching a documentary and it's perfectly fine. But then one ad comes, and initially I just turn away, but it leaves a mark. And then the next day I'm shopping and I'm listening to something playing in the background, and you know what, it's not my fault, it's just happening, but it leaves a mark. And slowly and gradually, in my mind, nothing is happening, but people begin to notice shifts and changes in the way that I behave. And they'll say, wait, it's been a year, and in the Ramadan, I saw you were so invested, you were so practicing, you seem to be so soft. What happened? You seem a little hard, you seem a little aloof. I don't see you in the masjid anymore, you're not reading Quran anymore. But in my mind, from the protagonist, from the first person, nothing's changed. Because I only see the small impact. But the accumulative effect, other people can see that my heart, ثُمَّ قَسَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ جَافِيًا. My heart is becoming harder and harder, but I will never realize it. And that is something we should all be cautious of. And they say, in English, that if you take care of the dimes, the dollars are going to take care of themselves, a money economic example. Likewise, if we take care of the small sins, the major sins will become much further away. That if I'm able to watch whenever I'm speaking to somebody, am I being rude? Then if I'm not going to be rude, inshallah, I will never be doing ghiba. If I'm able to lower my gaze when I'm walking outside, then inshallah, I won't fall into haram with my phone. If I'm able to watch my ears when something is unintentional, then I won't even intentionally fall into wrong as well. If we can take care of the small sins, then the major sins will take care of themselves, inshallah. So let's remember this analogy of the heart. Our beating heart is our lifeline, it's our sustenance. And if we don't take care of it, as these black spots begin to accumulate, we may not even recognize ourselves, let alone other people being able to recognize who we are. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clean our hearts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us more practicing. And may He allow us to rectify our weaknesses before it's too late without us even realizing. Amin ya Rabbil Alameen. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum.